protect the Hudson River and our drinking water. And Bruce and Coco have asked me to let people know about the Nicole will be playing the music of Mozart and Chopin. Today we will be hearing from Reverend Julio Torres, who is joining us via Zoom from England. And you can see Reverend Julio on the screen. Now we will hear the prelude, Blue Boat Home, arranged by Henry here in the front row. And Henry arranged this and played it on the tenor recorder and melodica. I hope I got that right. We light this chalice in grateful, loving community. Even in the darkest of times, may its flame light paths to courage, justice, and hope. And thou will have the hymn number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide us, Jesus guide us, hope and beside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak for 4,000, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace is triumph, open side us, really the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the night. Love will guide us through the night.
Join with me in reciting our unison affirmation. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love to all living beings. May we know once again that we are not isolated, but connected in wonder and joy to mystery and miracle in the universe, in this community, and in each other. Now we will listen to the story chosen by Reverend Julio in keeping with his message today. I Choose Empathy by Elizabeth Estrada.
Seen someone crying and wanted to cry too? Listening and comforting them was all that you could do. Well, this feeling of wanting to help has a special name. And once you have it in you, you will never be the same. It's called empathy, which means you care how others feel. Having compassion and showing kindness is more than ideal. Being able to feel empathy and care deeply for those you know is a pure sign of humanity, and it helps us to grow. Having empathy is not only for sadness or when people are feeling blue. It can also be for happiness or excitement too. You can be empathetic and feel happy for others' joy. You can feel positive on a friend's birthday when they get a brand new toy, or when they win a carnival game after playing hard and trying. No, empathy doesn't only set in when another person is crying. When someone's feeling angry and steaming, full of rage, if you have empathy, you'll feel as if you're on the same page. They may yell and be in an angry zone, but when you listen, they won't feel so alone. Some say having empathy is a very special gift. It's like during a rain shower and you see that rainbows do exist. Empathy means we are kind to others and understand. When people receive empathy, they are more willing to lend a hand. I say having empathy can also be a choice. You can choose to be empathetic by using your voice. Tell others you understand them when they're feeling a certain way, and be compassionate and caring every single day. Be authentic and kind in everything you do. Give to others as much as you would hope they would give to you. When you see someone having a tough time, don't put more on their backs. If someone else is hungry, share with them your snacks. When someone's feeling happy, celebrate with them if you can. Or when someone's feeling scared, go ahead and reach out your hand. Being empathetic is saying and showing that you care. If that person needs you, you'll always be right there. So, the next time you find yourself with someone whose feelings are on display, sit next to them, pat their back, and tell them it's going to be okay. And you know what? They probably will do this for someone else too. Empathy is contagious. I've seen it spread through and through. Soon, everywhere you look, people will be treating others in a positive way. And together, we'll be there for one another every single day. Choose empathy when you can and keep it in your mind. For an empathetic person is truly a wonderful kind. Thank you so much.
So let us now hear from Reverend Julio, and his talk today is entitled Empathetic Embrace.
Can everyone hear me? We all good? All right, all right. When I first became a pantheist, I had to wonder how one could hear the voice of the divine. Now there's nature, there's science, the imagination, and there's also the voice of the people. The universe is as multifaceted as there are people, beings, and celestial bodies. And it is with this in mind when I wonder the nature of the divine. In seminary, there was a debate about God as all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving / all-good. And that was omnibenevolent, omnipotent, omniscient. And it's one of those things that God isn't those things. I would say maybe the creator, always learning, omnipresent, and all empathetic. And my key message for us all, especially as Unitarian Universalists, who, we say we promote the interconnected web of existence and the right of conscience and use of democracy, I would say we must remember empathy. We must embrace others with empathy as the divine embraces us in empathy. Now, I will always preface with this that God may not exist. But for me, I believe in a God which knows us all and feels with us all. I wouldn't say God is all loving because God is more than love. But love, I believe, is a guiding principle we can have to bring harmony into the world. It will bring us to balance and harmony with nature, ending the climate crisis. It will bring us to balance with society, ending poverty, racism, militarism, sexism, homophobia, and so many forms of discrimination and hate. And we can use love to remember empathy. And scientifically, empathy is done via the mirror neurons. This mirroring helps to facilitate empathy as individuals more readily experience other people's emotions through mimicking posture and gesture. Mirroring also allows individuals to subjectively feel the pain of others when viewing injuries. This allows us to transcend our own experiences and understand the impact on others. And Dr. Brené Brown, her degree's focus on social work, suggests empathy has 4 qualities. Perspective taking, that's recognizing another perspective as their truth. Staying judgment-free, recognizing emotion in other people and communicating it to them, and feeling with other people. I didn't move my fingers appropriately, sorry. But she says, and I love this, she says, empathy is a sacred space. When someone is in a deep hole, they say, I'm stuck. They say, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And you respond with, hey, I know what it's like down here. And you're not alone. These response would be something like, oh, that's too bad. I think I'll go get a sandwich. Or sympathy might be like, well, at least it's not as bad as this, or something to that effect. And Dr. Brown says that empathy is a choice. And it's a vulnerable choice. In order to connect with you, I have to connect with something inside myself that knows this feeling. If someone shares something painful, don't silver line it. When someone, you're hearing something difficult, you might just have to say, I don't know what to say right now. I'm glad you told me. In truth, rarely can a response make something better. From Dr. Brene Brown. And I agree with it 100%. Now, I believe if we are to embody the divine in our principles, we cannot do so without empathy. We must be empathetic, and others around the world must be equally empathetic. There are times when all on the political spectrum, from the farthest right to the farthest left and the center, all failed to be empathetic. And there's not enough balance between altruism and egoism. In other words, that balance between the greater good of others and their own individual interests. I believe democracy requires empathy. And democracy, to use a work term, is a data-led approach. We give to our hearts. And as a society, we show where we are on the political spectrum. And we are part of a faith group who believes in the interconnection of all people, beings, nature, the universe. What we do has a butterfly effect impact. Do we vote with that knowledge? Balancing the greater good in ourselves? Maybe. Do we honor both the majority and the minority? Or to be more truthful to our values, do we liberate all from oppression? And I believe empathy will guide us. There are the minority in power who only think of their power and greed, those who are corrupt. And then there are those in the minority who are made to suffer to benefit others. And I believe that's where empathy kicks in. Chat in person. What about love? Isn't your favorite hymn, Love Will Guide Us? Where is love in God? Where is love in people? Don't you use that phrase, beloved community? And I'll tell you what, all of y'all asked this question lovingly through myself just now at this very moment in time. I do believe love is something which indeed is divine. I just don't believe it's God's primary attribute, to be loving. I think it's, and I'm talking about that bigger term, the omnibenevolent, the omniscient, the omnipotent, I can't speak this word, omnipotent. And we could debate primary attributes of God, whether God exists or not, certainly. But I personally believe if God was all loving, there would be no evil in the world. And there's plenty of it. Like Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King and militarism. His point was that there was only in the Vietnam War was there only the time where the poor were brought together to kill each other. And when it comes time to making real change, racism was used to keep them divided against each other. And all the money that can be spent to make the world a better place was used on war. And I agree with that analysis. I think it's still true today. And I think it's a classic Roman divide and conquer strategy perfected over thousands of years. And it's being done today by several governments now. And I do believe wholeheartedly that love will guide us as a principle or as a value, as they say in the Article 2 Commission. It's something we have within us, as something we work towards making manifest into a reality as a norm of society. I believe love is a vision which gives us hope. And I believe love is our mission. With being a pantheist, is that God is everything. There are certain things which I have to choose to venerate. Kind of like Hinduism. Some say it's a polytheistic religion with many deities. Some say it's just a monotheistic religion of worship, the Brahma, that universal consciousness, where the deities, whether literal or metaphorical, are all facets of the divine, with which we choose to devote spiritual energy to. And again, the problem of being a pantheist, I believe, unfortunately, that God is everything from the right and to the wrong, and love, evil, the whole nine. But I choose to give my spiritual energy to that love facet of the divine. Love, I believe, will guide us towards harmony and balance, towards the community of justice, equity, and compassion, a world without poverty, racism, militarism. People's campaign calls out today in the US. And I have to remember, maybe God could use some of my empathy. It's not a one-way street after all. Building connection with the divine, with empathy, is doable for me, rather than this petition, worship, calling God Lord, etc., traditional Christian ways. And with empathy, we hear the voices of fellow people. And in doing so, we hear the voice of the divine. As an example of empathy with God, could we take the 99 names of God as described in Islam? Or, all those various types of the divine that exist in various faiths? Could we take each of those aspects and try it out one day? Democracy is a sacred practice where we embody the divine, where we do it all with empathy. We voice our opinion and we hope it's for the best. I say, as a faith community, we must treat democracy as a sacred practice. At least I think we need to do so to build the beloved community. That's my opinion. And we need to do this work of empathy within us as individuals. And we must go deep into ourselves. We must go deep into our congregations, into our local areas. We must go into the wider municipalities, the counties, the state, our nation. It needs to be grassroots led, as the top down has too often led to oppression. Include the non-property owners, it didn't include the homeless, it didn't include women. God bless the suffragettes for reminding men of women's dignity. When we have motions in a forum, do we have the majority opinion and the dissenting opinion registered? We are, after all, passing a judgment. And it's useful for the Supreme Courts. I think it'll be useful for us. I think that we have to empathize with the divine in people, the energy of the universe made manifest into humanity. Beloved community requires a committed empathy with all the oppressed and divine dissatisfaction with all forms of injustice. Empathy will help us to build the beloved community. That's a theological claim. It's not an abstract of what the beloved community is. Howard Thurman, Reverend Dr. Luther King's mentor, says, what is being sought is a way of life that is worth living and a faith in oneself and others and the society that can be honestly and intelligently sustained. That this is what the beloved community is all about. And when building the beloved community, I would have to agree with him. And I think we have a lot to learn from the Black church communities. Unitarians like to learn a lot about world religions, and many of us have our own baggage or trauma with Christianity. But I will say that's something we can learn from the Black church. They ain't perfect either. No one is. But the message of universal liberation of all peoples, I give borrow from a paper written by Kipton Jensen and Preston King. They say that for Dr. King, back in 1956, as a preacher and as a philosopher, as well as a social activist, the non-violent spirit indicative of the beloved community is both as a means and as an end, both a method and a creed, a socio-ethical maxim, but also a metaphysical principle. And it is this type of spirit and this type of love that can transform opponents into friends. It is this type of understanding, goodwill, that will transform the deep gloom of the old age into the exuberant gladness of the new age. It is love that will bring about miracles in the hearts of humanity. And then they also quote another essay that King made at a conference in Boston University. And he cited another piece of work, but he wrote the very soul and the very soul and purpose of the universe is the community of love, or as Josiah Rice calls it, the beloved community. And Howard Thurman, along with Dr. King, envisioned a beloved community as exemplifying a harmony that transcends all diversities and in which diversity finds its richness and significance. And when they refer to community, they're referring to integration, to mutuality, to harmony. And I close with this. Empathy is what transcends our emotional individualism into connection between two or more people. It's how a community is formed. Dare I say, it's the interconnected web of existence, but on the emotional spectrum. Ultimately, I believe empathy is necessary for the beloved community. And I ask you, how does empathy play into your spirituality with the divine? How does democracy via empathy become a sacred practice for you? And I thank you all for listening.
We will have a short period in which we can share our joys and sorrows. And if anyone on Zoom would like
to get in, I would like you all to get into some meditation, whatever your preference. And please begin to take some deep breaths as I invite you to meditate on empathy as a spiritual practice, democracy as a spiritual practice, to kind of change up and transform the words of Rumi. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Yet ours is indeed a caravan of despair, or joy, or anger, or fear. Are we crystal clear in this chromatic prism of emotions? Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. I'm going to keep track of time, about 2 minutes, and then bring us back. So please feel free to close your eyes if you feel so desire. Take in slow, deep breaths, and do what you need to bring wholeness to your soul. I invite you all now to start bringing yourself back in. Take your time. Do what you got to do. Stretch it out. Open your eyes little by little. I hope you had a good commune with the divine.
Constance is going to play for us God's Counting on Me by Pete Seeger and Laurie Wyatt.
Pete Seeger, I don't think, wrote too many songs about God. And as a result, I think he felt he should kind of explain this this late in his life, this song that he wrote with Laurie Wyatt, who was a very prominent member of the. To read this briefly. Speaking, Pete Seeger speaking. I finally decided I have made my peace with the word God. Most of my youth, thinking religion was an opiate of the people, I disliked using the word. But I found, like many other European Americans, that I truly loved the religious songs of African Americans. It was as though I rediscovered my own humanity through them. I knew Mahalia Jackson. She said, "I've seen God." I've seen the sunrise. I'm with you, Mahalia. I feel my heart lift every time I see the sunrise. Every time I see anything, I feel I see God. Sing along with this song, please. It's really lent itself to it. When we look and we see things are not what they should be, God's counting on me. God's counting on you. When we look and we see things are not what they should be, God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. It's time to turn things around. Trickle up, not trickle down. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Trickle up, not trickle down. It's trying to turn things around. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. When baby drill turns to spill, baby spill, God's counting on me. God's counting on you. When baby drill turns to spill, baby spill, God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. When there's big problems to be solved, let's get everyone involved. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. When there's big problems to be solved, God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. Don't give up. Don't give in. Working together we all can win. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Don't give up. Don't give in. Working together we all can win. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. What we do now, you and me, will affect eternity. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. What we do now, you and me, will affect eternity. eternity. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. When we never give up hope, God's counting on me. God's counting on you. When we work with young folks, we can never give up hope. God's counting on me. God's counting on you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Hoping we'll all pull through. Me and you.
For closing words, I say this. Empathy is a sacred space. Let us question what keeps us provincial and individualistic in our faith group, in our communities, and around the globe. Let us work together as a community of communities, and may we fill the gaps between people with love and embrace each other, using empathy to share compassion. Go forth and be democratic. Amen and blessed be.
Community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this seed to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. Thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you to the Zoomers too, and thank you for your patience.